When I was a lot younger, I felt like I was much more like in my heart and was just much more like, I guess, open and vulnerable to life, as a child is. It wasn't until high school that I feel like I started going more into my head. Or maybe this was because I grew up in New Zealand, which has sort of like cultural influences from England, where like amongst your friends, like the way to sort of like have fun is almost to make fun of each other. Like you're always trying to cut each other down and sort of like point out each other's flaws in like a funny way. So then you get like hyper vigilant about not showing your flaws so that you don't get cut down by other people. And then you become more vigilant of other people's flaws so you can sort of like poke fun at them and everyone's sort of poking each other. But then in a way, you kind of start shutting down your heart because you don't want to expose your vulnerabilities. And like, I find in one part that trains your wit and your mental speed and your comedy in general, actually. The part that kind of shuts down is like, I guess, the hard part. And then I think ever since high school, I started being more of a head guy and being more sharp. And I wasn't allowing myself to be genuinely vulnerable in the way that my default programming was as a child. And it wasn't until recently, when I started doing content on TikTok again, that I see myself talk in such a critical way. And I'm like, oh, this guy is like so in his head and so critical that like I can feel like this guy's energy, me. It was all coming from the head and there was nothing coming from the heart. And I was like, oh, wow, that's not me. Like, that's sort of like a defensive part of me that I've developed to survive. But I've been using it so long that I've forgotten that it's safe to not be like that anymore. So ever since then, I've been trying to soften a lot more and like back into, I guess, like my actual heart rather than trying to play this guy that I feel like is more edgy and people will less likely make fun of him. It's like, are you just presenting yourself in a way so that you don't get made fun of? Or are you like actually showing up as who you really want to be? So I choose the latter. And like the edgy guy was like off-putting to some people and I was like, oh, it's like you can win and lose either way. So you might as well win being in your heart or being who you really want to be.